Did you ever take one of the
I
baths?
did not. I did not.
All right.
We didn't need the sulfur waters when we were my age, at that particular time,
Just a kid, huh? Yeah.
Yeah.
How about the weather then? Is the weather different now than it
It
was
is.
then?
Oh, yes, it is. We used to get some great summers over there at one time, I remember one time we used to have our shirt off, when we'd be saving hay and stuff like that.
What was saving hay? How did you go
Yeah,
about
when you
doing that?
cut the hay, and then you let the sun would dry it out for a couple of days, before you'd make little cocks of it or reeks or whatever you wanted to call them,
How did you cut them?
Oh, we had, in my time, they used to have a scythe, but then they had the mowing machine, the horse-drawn mowing machine.
So when you were a kid, it was a scythe that you held in your hand?
Oh, yeah, with the two hands.
Two people together?
Oh, no, one person. It is quite a thing, I don't think you'd have to see it,
You must have been awfully strong to be doing something like
Oh,
that.
well, if you weren't, it would make you strong by the time you got through with it.
How many acres would you have to cut?
Oh, maybe about 6 or 7.
Wow. And how long would it take to do that?
It varies sometimes, Maybe you could do an acre in a day.
So would your whole family go out and do
Oh,
that?
they would. They'd save it and stuff like that. The whole family. That was a part of their livelihood.
Was it a fun thing to do? I mean, did people?
It was a lot of fun. You'd get help. Well, the neighbours used to help. We used to call it core. You'd get or a mehel, if you want to call it. In Irish, that's a group, And I'd go to you today, and we'd go to someplace else tomorrow,
And what did you do for food? Did you bring your food with you, or?
Oh no, they generally supply the food, whoever was working.
So the person you were working for.
Exactly.
Yeah. So it became kind of like almost like a social
family
activity.
thing, exactly. That's exactly what it was.
Yeah.
There was no money transferred to anybody, Everybody done it for, for return of help or something like that. We want to put it that way, like.
Yeah. Yeah. Did this went out of my head? Aren't I a good interviewer?
You were talking about the weather and bathing, and you said that the ladies would always bathe on one side, and
Oh
the
yes,
men on the other,
they
never mix.
and if the priest came along and found out about it, he'd have a sermon about it the next Sunday at Mass. Oh yes, that was very strict. They were very strict in that department,
And how did they divide the beach? I mean, was it was one long
Oh,
strand?
one side that have it for the women, the other side is for the men,
And would there be some rocks or something that divided it off?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
It's very interesting.
Oh, they had. It was when I grew up, it was different to now.
I'll bet.
Oh,
What was Christmas like when you were a kid?
Not that great, because let me see how I would phrase that for you now. It was just an extra day, that's all,
More like.
Well, when we were kids, you'd hang up the stock and you'd get whatever, bar of candy or something like that,
And did you have the Wren Boys or something like
Oh
that?
yes, we used to. I used to go out on them once in a while, the Wren Boys. It was a lot of fun, we'd go from one house to another. Somebody playing them out the organ or tin whistle, and then somebody sing a song or two.
And how many would go?
That'd be maybe 6, 7 sometimes,
Yeah. And you did. And they'd always treat you to something when you were there.
Oh yes, we'd be looking. Oh, then we had the hat. You'd pass the hat, looking for some change, Then at the end we divided, like.
Among the 6 of you, you each
Yes,
get a little change to take home?
exactly.
Yeah. What did you do when you were part of the Wren Boys? What was your part of it?
Well, dancing more than anything else,
Yeah, yeah. What kind of a dance would you do?
Oh, a reel, actually, it's a set dance.
Okay, yeah.
Oh, jigs in Galway.
No, really? They don't dance the jig in Galway?
No, only reels.
Reels, yeah.
Yeah.
That's what they're known for.
Yeah. And you're still a dancer to this day. You still go Thursday nights all the time and dance, don't you?
Oh, not all the time, not no more, but I used to.
Yeah, I remember that, you're doing the dances. Do you have a real happy memory of your childhood in Ireland that you'd share?
Well, I wouldn't say I did, like. The only thing is, the teachers we had weren't that great, you know, because we were scared of them. If they didn't know, they beat it into you, wanted to know why you didn't, you know. No. That's why we never got properly educated when we were going to grammar school. They done away with all that now, you know, all that is different.
Thank God.
Thank God is right.
How many years did you go to school?
About 7, I guess, you know, from 7
To 14?
to 14.
Yeah. Did you speak Irish in your home?
No,
Did you learn it in school?
a little bit. We weren't interested in it. It's mixed stuff, you know.
Yeah, but it's past the banya instead of past the milk.
Yeah.
That seems to be a very familiar one. My grandfather used to use that here.
Oh, yeah. Oh, we had a Thesponum and Banya, is right, yeah.
Oscalders.
Kane Archer will and Fata, where are the potatoes?
Okay.
Yeah, he got it.
So you did have phrases that were common in the house
Oh,
that
yes.
you would use.
Yeah.
How about prayers? Were prayers done in Irish?
Oh, we said the rosary every night. No, that was a must. And when we grew up, you know, when we used to go gallivanting, as you call it, my mother would make sure we said the rosary early before she used to say, when it was what, say it around 10 o'clock at night. But when we were going out, it said maybe at 7 o'clock in the evening. So you would have the rosary said before you went out.
And the whole family would say
The
it
whole
together.
family, oh yeah. That was a family tradition.
Yeah. And was it said in English?
In English, oh
It
yeah.
was said. It wasn't done in Irish.
No.
And what other kind of phrases would you have that you would commonly use in Irish phrases?
Doing the veil.
Down the veil is just close your mouth. Now be a conch, don't be talking. Yeah, that's right, that's she's listening. I guess fog a ballach when you're going away, going leaving.
And how about an Irish toast?
You didn't know you got me in that one, Peg, tell you the truth. I don't have you know something, this when I'd be in bed now at night time, I'd think of that.
You'll all of a sudden come to you. I know
Not
what you
too
say.
often, you're speechless.
Yeah.
How about the church? Was the church a real important part of your community?
You know, the church where I went, there's 3 sections in it for different villages, believe it or not. There was one village in the south of it, and then another village in the north.
And the people
And in
sat
the, when
in
the
their
west.
section?
Exactly.
Which
And
villages? Aucknish? Which villages?
well, we had Leah and Winchin and Cappamore.
What's
And
Cappamore mean?
I don't know, I guess it's a
Something big.
big village or something like that. Oh, it was quite a thing, you know.
Tell them about Canon Fahy.
Oh, the canon, that was the Canon Fahy. Oh, he used to be mad when they see them. When the girls, we'd be in front of the dance hall around 11 o'clock at night to see what was going on. There was 2 sisters and they were devils from hell, you know. One of them hit him in the eye with the core of an apple one time.
Hit the priest?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Why did she do that?
It is because they didn't like him. He had no business being there in the first place, you know. Well, that's the way it was at that particular time, you know. And if you were out with the ladies, they knew you. He knew everyone, you know. Tell you, Miss so and so, you belong inside in the dance hall.
And he'd say it from the altar too?
Oh, he wouldn't mention their names off the altar, but he'd be at the dances like outside, checking everything out, you know.
And what time would a dance start?
Oh, yeah, the dance would be started around 9 o'clock.
9 o'clock. And how late would it run then?
Until 12.
Till 12, okay. Yeah. And the pubs were, what time did the pubs go from then? They were...
The pubs had different hours at that particular time. They weren't too particular about breaking the law either, you know.
Mm-hmm. Did you have many pubs in your area for you?
There was 10 in Kinvara town alone, 10 pubs.
And how far was the town from your home?
About 3 miles.
And to get there, how did you get there?
Walking
Walking.
when we were young, and then we got a bicycle. If you could get tired sort of during the war, it was impossible, you know.
Yeah, What decided you to come to the United States?
Oh, I was in England sure before I came here. I went to England, and the only way you could go to England at the time I went was you had to work underground only, and it stated in your passport too, you know. So I worked in the coal mines.
Oh, really undermined?
Yes.
Wow.
I was up in Yorkshire. It was 1,100 feet deep and 4 miles underground. And what used to kill me altogether, and I was young, I was only 20 years old, I used to have to walk to work when I went down to the bottom of the shaft.
You had to walk all the way down to the bottom?
No, I went down on an elevator. But when I went to the bottom, I had to walk to the coal face. It was 4 miles.
Oh my gosh.
Oh yeah, it was not easy, you know.
How long were you at that job?
I only stayed there a year. That's an Englishman say, big shovels, Paddy, he said, and fairly often.
You had a lot more than Irish working there. You had a lot of...
There was 500 Irish was in it, and there was 500 or 600 Polish people, and the rest of them were made up of English, you know.
And then did you leave from there to go to the States, or did you go back home?
Oh, I went back home to go to the States. But what happened was, like every other thing, when I got my papers, and I had to go to London to get them ready for this country. And what was in the papers, and I didn't know, that the visa expired within 3 months. And I happened to be in my room one night, and I spotted, this was now in the month of June, 1947. No, 1948, I'd be exact. And I was looking at, and it was June, the middle of June, maybe the 20th in that area. And I seen it says, visa expires July the 2nd. Oh, geez, no. And it was impossible to go from England to Ireland at the time, because you had to get a sailing ticket. And you had to wait a month to get the sailing ticket. Oh, geez, man, I got so mad for being so stupid, you know. I packed up everything. I was working for a farmer down in Bristol, and I packed it in that night, and Jesus, I hit for Liverpool. I said, if there's any way of getting over, I'll get there, you know. So I knew there was no hope in going to the docks, because you had to have the sailing ticket. And I was in Liverpool, believe it or not, and I was walking by the travel agent, and Jesus, I stopped in, you know. And I says to him, there's any hope of getting a sailing ticket? He says, there's no way. You waste your time. But I said, I want to get to Dublin. I said, is there any hope? You know what he said to me? There's a plane going out of Spike. Excuse me. There's a plane going out of Spike Airport at 5 o'clock in the evening. If you want to take it, £5. And Jesus said, I was only too glad. Just an hour later, I was in Dublin.
Wow.
And I missed the bus going down to Galway. And I had to stay overnight in Dublin. So I went down. Now I only had 7 days to come to this country. You know what I mean? It was losing the time. Jesus, I meant it, you know, this Mrs. Feile, she's still alive too. And I have as a matter of fact, I have the ticket at home. I went out, I booked the ticket. She said, the 1st of July, she said, if you're at the Shannon Airport, there'll be a plane. They're waiting for you. And I made it too. All the way, it took me 17 hours to come from the Shannon Airport. It was Idlewild at the time. And I was sitting beside an Indian, and he weighed 400 pounds, and he didn't speak a word of English. And imagine sitting for 17 hours it took. We landed in Gander. The American Overseas Airlines it was at the time. They merged with Pan Am at the finish. And then I came down to New York. Bridgeport. I was after the car after him. Now, he took me up to Bridgeport.
Okay. So this was the New York uncle that you stayed for
Yeah,
3 days drunk.
3 days, yeah. And,
Why did he bring you to Bridgeport?
oh, I guess he knew too much about New York and the life that was in it. When he was working the afternoon shift, which is perfect for him, you know.
And he worked for the railroad, did you say?
Yeah.
Okay.
And,
Well, his sisters were here also in Bridgeport.
well, then his sisters, my aunts, there was 3 of them here at the time. And then I got a job. Believe it or not, there's only even tell you how much connections I had, you know. And I wouldn't mind, but my aunt's husband was born here in this country, you know. He didn't know nobody. You know what I mean, with any little bit of connections, you know. So they got me a job with this guy. He was from Kilkenny. Mike McCormick was his name. He was in the landscaping business. And I was ideal for the job, you know, because fresh off the
farm, yeah.
off the farm, you know. But 70 cents an hour. And my uncle came up and he was Haley hell with him. He said, "Jeez," he said, "you got to do better than that." And I went down to Seaside Park and I met Pat Didi, no, Steve Corcoran I met. You know, Steve.
Yeah.
And we got talking. Steve wanted to know where I was. No, Tommy Sherwin it was. Pat Sherwin's brother. And we got talking. He said, "I'm working for Stanley Works." He says, "Geez, they pay fairly good, $1.50 an hour. And here am I getting 70 cents an hour." Oh, I said, I got to look into this more deeply. Yeah. So he said, the man that's the boss, he's from Tipperary, Pat Didi, he'll be here at 6 o'clock, around 6:30 or 7 o'clock in the evening, you know. We used to be practicing down Seaside Park.
Practicing what?
Hurling.
Hurling, okay.
So anyhow, when I got talking, Pat came down, introduced me to him, and told him that I was anxious to go over there. He said, "Stop over and make out an application." So I went over a couple of days later and made out the application. Then he said, "We start Monday." But McCormick didn't like the idea by leaving so fast. He had all kind of bad things to say about the factories. I guess he was right too, because I wouldn't have this laryngitis maybe if I stayed in the landscaping business. But anyhow, I went to Carpenter's, to Stanley Works, and I stayed there for 41 years before I went out in pasture.
What kind of work did you do?
I ran a crane. I done everything in there. I was working the furnaces, and then I ran a crane for 25 years. I was a crane operator.
And did you always live in Bridgeport then, Todd?
Yeah. I never did live outside of Bridgeport for the whole time I've been here, you know.
Now, just so I make sure I got the record right, what was the date that you arrived here? When you arrived in the United States?
July the 1st, 1948.
1948.